Okay, great. So first of all, I would like to start with let me thank you for inviting me to this conference and for accepting my paper. Today, my topic is going to be Martin on the Run, where I will present some archaeological finds of Slavonian denars or denari banales and the evidence of their use in the lives of people in medieval Slavonia. So let me start with an introduction about the coins. So from the 13th century, under the rule of Bela IV, a new highly valued coin was introduced in medieval Slavonia. Erroneously, it was called banovci, which is actually the term used by to represent vice bans in Croatia. So it is not a great term for a coin itself. In the literature, it is often called banovci, but contemporary sources called it denarius banalis. It was, of course, made of silver with very small percentage of copper, and it had outstanding stylistic characteristics, which made him very popular in the earliest stages of its production and distribution with and beyond borders of modern Croatia. According to one of the older Croatian authors, Metcalfe, who is very well known, its production began due to the economic prosperity of Zagreb and the trade with the German area. Also, the privileges and status of royal free cities, which were received by individual cities and settlements in Slavonia as early as the 13th century, contributed to the development of this type of denar as an autonomous means of payment in modern northern and eastern Croatia. Denar has never been minted out of pure silver, which is the case with most of the medieval coins around Europe. It also contained copper in a ratio that, depending on political economic situation, was subject to change. Also, Slavonian denar was divided into smaller units, such as obolai. You can see them here on your right. They were worth half of a larger unit and were minted from the same alloy. From a charter of Bela IV of 1256, it is evident that bans issued money as royal representatives in the mint Ultra Dravam or Kamara de Ultra Drava. This is believed to be a reference to the Pakrac mint, which is also called Kamara de Pukruc and is known as the oldest mint and is believed actually to be the oldest mint of Croatian autonomous coinage. But today there is a problem in that context. I will be mentioning it later. As I also mentioned before, during the 13th and 14th centuries, Zagreb developed into a strong economic center of Slavonia, which conditioned mint's relocation to there. With time, the quality and the value of Slavonian denars fell until its complete disappearance in the late 14th century. But in the first half of this century, King Charles Robert I tried to bring back the lost value of this coinage by introducing a reform which happened during the regency of Slavonian Ban Nicola Modejev, as we call him in Croatia, whose coins and denars were also found in the Mekiš Zgruti hoard near Drava River by the king's command. So he tried to imitate the coins of the same quality as minted earlier by Bela IV, but he was very unsuccessful. Apart from the loss of Gothic inscriptions at that time, the difference in the coin is evident in the simplicity and negligence in the production of some dyes, as well as the process of minting itself. The coin dyes for minting were usually produced at the time by non-professional engravers and artisans, and the appearance of the coin depended mostly on their skill, and also how fast the dyes were out. All of the coins are characterized by almost the same images on obverse and reverse. The coin's fronts contain the inscription Moneta Regis pro Slavonia, or money for Slavonia, which is placed within two pearl circles with a cross marking the beginning and the end of the legend. So the cross is important here, and I will mention it later. The center of the coin always contained a running marten, which could be facing left or right, it depends, with six-pointed star or rosette above and below it. Rosettes were introduced in later periods. So according to, again, one of the older Croatian authors and numismatists, Virubal, those rosettes and stars represented the two rivers that bound Slavonia, the Drava and the Sava river. The reverse of the coin was always somewhat complex, more complex. It contained several motifs. A patriarchal cross is in the center. It was made of patibulum and two antennae, of course. And next to the top part of the cross, on each side, there would be a six-pointed star and a crescent moon with a dot with a circle in the middle, enclosed in between its arms. There also could be a lily in between the crescent arms. Also, two lilies or buds come from the center of the cross. Below the larger transverse beam, there was always two crowned heads facing each other, and most importantly, next to the larger beam, there is a siglum marking under whose reign and authority or governance the coin was minted. So what were they used for? As is the case with most of the coin, they were used for trade or paying taxes. In Croatia, the tax was called kunovina or marturina, which is the equivalent word of the word marten, and it was used for other similar duties as for paying customs and excises, and also to purchase or sell slaves, and for paying serfs. Naturally, most of the documents we have, which range from 1260 to 1347, which were published pretty recently by Dr. Ivan Mirnik, those documents refer to purchases, exchanges, or pledges of possessions, which were sometimes integral parts of dowries. Also, the social position of people who bought or sold properties at that time ranged from humble citizens to bonds and bishops. Also, it is important to mention that unlike nobles, serfs, according to the bylaw of the Zagreb capital, were obliged to do hard work, and for that they were paid only food and only half a denar per diem. So due to their popularity, the denars were also imitated, Slavonian denars, or forged. Such specimens have also been found in hoards and as individual finds. So some of the documents you are able to see here on the side. So let me talk now about some archaeological examples and finds, most of which are from the recent years. So most of the coins that were found in the past come from numerous hoards on the territory of Croatia and abroad. For example, Hungary, Romania, Bosnia, Slovenia, etc. But some of the larger hoards that were found contained only a smaller number of Slavonian denars. For example, one hoard of unknown origin, but from Hungary, contained only a smaller number of Slavonian denars. So it contained around 1,700 coins, of which only 97 were of Slavonian mint. Only two hoards contain more than 1,000 specimens. One is on the territory of Hungary and one in Bosnia, and those were of 100% of Slavonian denars. A large number of hoards was probably buried before 1300s due to decline in their quality. So obviously the money was saved and hidden for better days, as people believed at that time. Previously mentioned Mekiš Zgruti hoard in Podravske Sesvete near the Drava River also contained jewelry, and that you can see here in the picture. And as of now, majority of hoards from Croatian perspective is concentrated on the northern part of eastern Croatia or on the borderline between Croatia and Hungary. Interesting case, which gives us a small insight on the usage of denarius banalis, is the burial of an individual near Torčec, Crkvišće, near Croatian-Hungarian border. On the basis of this burial, we can pose the question of whether the deceased individual belonged to a higher social stratum. Interestingly, he was buried with a bag of coins and an amount which could serve for paying taxes, which amounted to seven denarii for a household, and he could probably also afford 1 or 2 marten pelts, which we know cost 17 denars in the first half of the 14th century, and at the time when he died, they were probably a lot cheaper. The mere fact that the Hungarian currency was also found, discovered alongside Slavonian denars, supports the idea that this was a more well-off member of the community or society, or even a person which practiced some kind of a trade outside Slavonian borders, perhaps in the area across the Drava River. Also considering the traces of hard labor, we conclude that he was, my colleague and I, we concluded that he was probably a medieval farmer, probably a herdsman. Also, despite all the evidence pointing that this was a well-off individual and the coins discovered alongside his body being his personal property, that is still difficult to prove, because if that is so, that it wasn't his personal belongings, we can only speculate on the reasons why his kin and community decided to bury such a large quantity of coins with him. Although it is less likely, we cannot completely disregard the possibility that the money was put in the grave only as a grave good, and that it did not belong directly to the deceased individual himself. Several individual finds have been made in recent years, although there could be possibility of more, but are yet unpublished. Following examples come mostly from archaeological excavations, which I was personally involved with and were made by Croatian Conservation Institute and Institute of Archaeology, with most of them coming out of some type of a sacral or church context. So in recent years in the Zagreb Old Town, which was at one point in time a mint of Croatian coinage, only 2 coins have been found recently. There is also an older find of presumably a hoard of Slavonian denars, of which only 2 are known and are being kept in archaeological museum in Zagreb. Was it really a hoard that was found in the city? That remains uncertain because documentation is pretty scarce. So this sums it up on only 4 coins altogether, which were found in Croatian capital at the place where mint was supposed to be. Only 1 piece of Slavonian denar was found in a grave filling of a child within the vestry of a church in Martinbreg near Zagreb. How the coin ended up there is up for a speculation. It might be considered as a grave good, but also it might have been lost and ended up in a dirt and ultimately in a burial pit at some other earlier point in time. It may have also been a grave good of some of the earlier burials, which were destroyed with new ones over time. Interestingly, the church in this site is being connected with Templar and Hospitaller military orders, who also held Pakrac fort, so the same Pakrac where the mint is supposed to be, under their dome, and they were regarded as king's bankers in general. Also, the cross marking the beginning and the end of the legend, as I mentioned before, on the obverse of the coins has been previously connected to the Templar order. Most recently, also one coin was found out of context on the site of Pauline Monastery Bela Crkva in the eastern Croatia, and one interesting find was found during archaeological excavations of a large monastery and church of Saint Margaret in Gorjani. The mentioned coin was perforated and of poor quality, and it was found in the area where a large number of different individual coins of different provenances was found. As of now, the existence of hoard is not taken into consideration. Rather, it might be an act of a piety and devotion. Mentioned coin was probably recycled. You can see it here below the last picture. It was probably recycled as an ornament worn on clothes during the 14th century. And coins were also generally known to be left in sanctuaries as a votive gift for the forgiveness of sins and for the purpose of general and individual well-being. So considering the context of this find, this might be the case with this coin as well. Such coins were usually of lower value in order to emphasize the humility and modesty of the bearer. Here, in this pilgrim kind of way, we can also mention one Slavonian denar that was found during archaeological excavations underneath the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. So people really used it for all sorts of variety of things. So, as a conclusion of a sort, it is important to note that there is a lack of findings in the area where it's assumed that the original mints of Slavonian coins were located. For example, here, the black dot down here is Pakrat's mint. As you can see, during excavations in the very center of this small town, as well as in the immediate vicinity, there are almost no finds of this type of coin, and the mint itself has yet not been located. There are only assumptions about its location, with some authors believing that it was somewhere outside of the perimeter of the city, even some other places. The largest concentration of finds can be seen right next to the border area of Slavonia and Hungary so far, and the question that arises here is why would that be so, given that at some point also Virovitica, city here, acted as a royal mint according to some of the documents we have. Can we actually consider that actually Virovitica acted and had more significant role in the production of this type of denars? The patriarchal cross on the obverse, as an emblem of Hungary, under whose royal authority these regions were at the time, represents its constitutional relationship with Slavonia. So this might be one of the signs of production in Virovitica royal chamber that was near the Drava river. It has already been mentioned that the mint is also called in documents Camera de Utra Drava, according to which aforementioned town would be the logical and best choice due to the proximity of the mentioned river and the current concentration of coins found in this area. How accurate or not individual theories here are, this still remains an open question, and of course, further extensive research is needed, and it is especially necessary to include recent individual finds of Slavonian denars, which hasn't happened yet, which could give us more comprehensible picture of their use and development in Slavonic area. Thank you very much for your attention.